So my name is Matilda Reckford, and I work for the EHLS program at the Center for Applied Linguistics. And I'm joined today by Maria.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Maria Mariani, and I'm at Georgetown University.
And Anna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Gay. I work at the Institute of International Education.
And our special guest today, Kate Moran.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Moran, as Matilda just said, and I'm the director of the EHLS program at the Center for Applied Linguistics. We're happy to have you all with us today.
So during this webinar, we're going to talk about the English for Heritage Language Speakers program briefly, and then we'll take all your questions. So I'll pass it to Maria for a quick overview.
Thank you. Okay, so introduction to EHLS. EHLS is a scholarship program with a focus on professional English communication skills and career skills. The program trains advanced speakers of English to be effective communicators and strong candidates for federal jobs. It's hosted by Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Every scholar admitted to the program receives a full scholarship funded by the federal government. The program is 8 months in length. The first 6 months are full-time on the Georgetown University downtown campus. The final 2 months are part-time, conducted online. Participants are native speakers of critical languages who have a strong interest in public service. EHLS scholars come from diverse cultural, educational, and professional background, but they are all united by an interest in and a commitment to public service. Okay, let's take a look at the program background. So why EHLS? EHLS was established because critical language skills are in high demand in the U.S. government. There are other government-sponsored programs to teach critical languages to native English speakers, but this is the only program designed to prepare individuals with native knowledge of critical language for the federal workplace. Brief background on the organization and the history of EHLS. EHLS is a partnership among 4 organizations: the National Security Education Program, NCEP, provides funding. You may also hear another acronym, Delencio, that is our funder, NCEP. The Center for Applied Linguistics oversees instruction and coordinates language testing. That is where Matilda is and where Dr. Kate Moran is. Georgetown University provides instruction. That's where I am. And then the Institute of International Education oversees the application process, and that is where Anna is. EHLS was started in 2006. 2023 will be our 19th year, which is completely amazing and mind-blowing to me. And every year it gets better and better. So let's take a look at the scholarship benefits and terms. Scholarships for the EHLS program are awarded through the National Security Education Program, NCEP, which is administered by the Defense Language and National Security Education Office, Delencio. It's a lot of words. Each scholarship provides full tuition and fees for the 8-month academic program, in addition to a living stipend. So the living stipend is $3,600 per month during the first 6 months, the full-time portion, and then $1,200 per month during the last 2 months, because you can work during the part-time online. For scholars moving from outside the Washington, D.C. metro area, NCEP can reimburse relocation costs up to $1,000, but you should keep all your receipts that are related to relocation. Other benefits: health insurance from Georgetown University for you personally, a laptop computer which you can complete your EHLS assignments and that you can keep after completion of the program. Scholars must agree to the terms that we have outlined here. Full-time attendance and successful completion of the academic program. Agreement not to work during the full-time portion of the academic program. It's very intensive and it would be impossible to work even a part-time job. And acceptance of a service requirement after completing the academic program. So now I will pass it over to Anna.
So I will talk a little bit about the eligibility requirements to apply to the EHLS program. You must be a U.S. citizen at the time of application. You must be a native speaker of one of the 27 languages listed on the screen here. And you must have a professional level proficiency in that language. You must have an advanced proficiency in English. Your level in both the critical language and English will be formally tested. You must have a college degree, at least a bachelor's degree equivalent to a bachelor's in the United States. And then you must be able to use the internet, word processing systems, and PowerPoint. And you, as Maria said, you must commit to a full-time day program from January through till June in Washington, D.C. at our Georgetown University downtown campus. And you must be willing to work for the federal government for 1 year. That would complete your service agreement in a position with national security responsibilities. And this position will be your responsibility to find. Next, on to some important dates. The application is currently available. Please see our website for the link to that application. The deadline is July 6th, 2023 for the application and the supporting documents, 5 p.m. to be exact. Once an application is submitted and considered complete, applicants will be invited to schedule an oral proficiency interview, or OPI, in English. OPIs will be administered through July 21st, 2023, but we highly recommend submitting your application and scheduling that OPI as soon as possible to receive a time that works for your schedule. We're all very busy, so the sooner you get that in, the more choice you have on when that OPI will be taking place. EHLS staff will then notify candidates of their status in September. Some candidates will be provisionally selected to move on to the skills testing that I mentioned previously. In late September or early October, provisionally selected candidates will complete language testing in their critical language and a basic technology skills test. You will also complete an additional OPI in your critical language in September or October. And then finally, EHLS staff will notify candidates of their final status in early November of this year, 2023, and the program starts on January 8th, 2024.
Thank you. That's the last portion of our little presentation on EHLS. And now we are opening it up to questions, and I'll kick us off with introducing our special guest, Dr. Kate Moran, who's the Director of Adult Language and Communication, as well as Professional Development Specialist at the Center for Applied Linguistics. Under Adult Language Communication, Kate directs the English for Heritage Language Speakers program. Kate, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit about your overall experience with working with the EHLS program?
Sure. Thank you, Matilda. It's really nice to be here. I love having the opportunity to speak directly to our applicants. And partially because I want you all to know what a great program this is. So when I think about my overall experience with the EHLS program, I've been involved in a couple of different aspects over the years that I've been with Cal, mostly coordinating testing and helping with some of the more behind the scenes coordination that occurs through Cal, and now a much bigger role as the director and kind of overseeing our program administration through our experts at Georgetown. We have expert instructors, and then also the rollout of the application, which is in wonderful hands with the Institute of International Education, and they have a highly experienced team with coordinating these types of applications and going through that whole process. So I know we'll talk about this in a bit, but pardon me, I'm in Virginia and it is allergy season. So, but I want to say that if you have questions, we have a lot of wonderful people for you to reach out to. And of course, you can always reach out to me too. But in terms of my experiences, one of the things I love about the EHLS program is what a comprehensive and really high quality program it is. It is unique. It is a program designed to help speakers of critical languages, and these are languages that are critical to national security. So it's a very important role our scholars fulfill in terms of employment that they get within the federal government post the EHLS program. And the program's designed to really help our scholars develop those high-level English language and career skills. It's not just a language program, it's a career development program as well. And I think that is just phenomenal and unique. And as I mentioned, we have expert instructors at GU who are just really wonderful at adapting the curriculum, tailoring it to individual needs. One of the wonderful things about the program is it's very small. We admit only 18 scholars each year. And so it is highly competitive, but that allows for a very personalized experience. It is a rigorous program, and it's very intense, but it is also really tailored to the individual needs of the scholars. And we have wonderful people working to make sure that that happens and that all our scholars are successful in a way that's personal to them. So scholars come in with a huge range of backgrounds and experiences. We have just a wide variety of scholars, every cohort that represent all sorts of different career paths, different degrees, different language proficiency levels, all sorts of variety, which is one of the things that makes the program so wonderful. And that's where the expertise of our instructors really comes in, because they tailor the program to the individual scholars. And each scholar has a chance to grow those areas that they need the most support in, and with the ultimate goal, of course, of finding employment within the federal workplace. So it was a long-winded response, Matilda.
Yeah, I actually remember a question from an in-person event where an applicant was asking, oh, I studied this, is the program for me? And you're right to say that it's so great to be able to say yes. I mean, most things that you can study, it's all the diversity of careers that you can get in the government. So you can apply and be fulfilling that career path that you want within the government. Yes, Maria.
And I wanted to add to all the wonderful things and truthful things that Kate mentioned, that this program really is, I call it a boutique program, because even though there are 18 scholars, you're usually divided into two groups of 9 and 9. Where else are you going to get that kind of individual attention? And when one teacher is looking at one area of your competency, another professor might be looking at something else. And so you have 5 individuals really looking at everything about you, language-wise and professionally. The other thing that is amazing about the program is that this is the only program that I know where naturalized citizens are given an opportunity for a scholarship by the federal government. I don't know of any other program that does that. So I'm so happy about that because I'm a naturalized citizen. So this is a big plus. Sorry to interrupt you and your train of thought, but I really wanted to plug that other stuff in.
So true. Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about the language assessments as part of the application. And I would like to ask you to talk maybe a little bit about how to prepare for them, but also if anyone at this point has a question about the language testing, please raise your hand or type in the Q&A because we're happy to, and Dr. Cameron is happy to answer very specific questions about this assessment piece.
Sure. Excuse me. So just to talk about the assessment process in general, as Anna mentioned earlier, after your applications are submitted and reviewed, you'll take your English OPI. As soon as you have a tech reviewed complete application, you'll be given instructions on how to schedule an oral proficiency interview in English. Then we go through a full review process of applications, and about 50 candidates are provisionally selected for further language testing. And those tests include an English reading and listening computer adaptive test, an English writing test, and a speaking test, a speaking oral proficiency interview in your critical language. So for all of the domains that we test in English, that's your OPI, your oral proficiency interview in English, your listening, reading, and writing tests, they are all rated on the Interagency Language Roundtable scale. If you're not familiar with that scale, that's a proficiency scale that's widely used across the federal government. Was developed by an interagency group within the federal government to look at language proficiency in an equitable way that's aligns to the federal workplace context. There are descriptors online. You can look all of that up and get yourself really familiar with that scale. So for entrance into the program, you need to have a minimum of an ILR level 2, which is limited working proficiency, I believe. And in your critical language, you need to have a minimum of an ILR level 3, which is professional proficiency. Don't quote me on that, but it's professional is in there. So in order to prepare for those tests, let's talk about that. So these are tests of your general proficiency. So the best thing that you can do, there are no study guides, there are no cram sessions, there are no courses you can sign up for to study for these tests. The best thing that you can do is continue using English in a variety of contexts and a variety of situations. Remembering that your goal is professional level, is moving toward that professional level of English language usage. So immersing yourself in as many different registers and contexts as you can. So listening to the news, engaging in conversations as often as possible on a broad variety of topics. Watching the news and being up on current events, both in the United States that you can speak about in English, also in your critical language as well, and that part of the world that you can speak about both in your critical language and in English is helpful. For reading newspapers, reading journal articles, any of those high-level reading materials you can access is a great way to prepare for the reading portion, making sure you understand what you're reading, you could summarize what you're reading, you could tell someone else about what you're reading in English. That's the best way really is immersing yourself in a wide variety of contexts. If you have an opportunity to engage in conversations with other English speakers in a professional setting, in an academic setting, in more than just your everyday conversational settings, where you can engage in speaking about topics that are going to touch on these higher level skills. One thing that I've recommended in the past is taking something like Bloom's taxonomy, which you can find online. It is a taxonomy of cognitive demand, and there's lists of verbs at different levels of cognitive processes. And you want to be looking toward the top of that pyramid. So looking at the types of verbs that categorize things like creation, evaluation, analysis. Are you able to use the language that represents these higher level thinking skills, both in speaking and in reading and in writing? And then also listening too is another one that's measured, because that will help those higher level thinking skills, that the things with higher cognitive demand require a higher level of language to participate in and to be able to speak about, write about, read about, and engage with at length. So that's one way to kind of get a check on where you're at and what you can do.
Yeah, those are good tips. What would you say is the most difficult thing to demonstrate on a language proficiency test?
I think one of the tricky things about answering that question is that language acquisition does not happen in a linear way. As any one of us on this webinar, whether you're an applicant or any of these or panelists, we all know. And so you may have certain areas that are stronger for you and certain areas that are weaker for you. I think the big piece when you're looking at things that are a little more open-ended, or what we like to call an assessment constructed response, meaning that you are creating the response. Those are tests like the oral proficiency interviews and the writing test. That's where you have a little bit more control possibly over what you're demonstrating. So making sure that you're able to fully demonstrate a full repertoire and control of language across a variety of situations in writing and in speaking. I would say if you're looking at difficulty in demonstrating something, those are the spaces where you might have a little more control in how you're demonstrating your competency and your proficiency level. With the reading and writing assessments, those may or may not be areas that you struggle in. So the other piece is really having a strong self-awareness and self-evaluation of where your strengths and weaknesses lie in terms of language acquisition, and doing your best to engage in a little more heavily in those skill areas possibly. Integrating your skills as you're practicing is also really helpful. So if you're listening to something, respond to it in writing, even if it's just for you. It's great practice. If you've read something, have a conversation about it with someone so that you're integrating some of those reading skills with speaking skills, listening skills with speaking or writing skills, things like that can be great ways of making sure that you have a somewhat more linear development as you're acquiring new vocabulary, new grammatical structures, that you're working on those in all domains. So another piece I would just mention while we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions around testing is just the technology skills assessment. We do also, I did not mention that in our battery of assessments. If you are provisionally selected, you will also take a technology skills assessment. This is a basic test of your computer and technology skills, looking at file management, using email, attaching documents, saving things as a PDF, word processing skills, using presentation software. There's a full checklist on the EHLS website of all of the skills that you need to be successful in the EHLS program. We don't test 100% of those skills, but we certainly test the biggies, the big important ones. They're all important. but we do look at a lot of those skills. And so that's another piece to make sure that while you're preparing, so if you're going to practice writing, do it in Microsoft Word and make sure you're comfortable with creating a Word document. Save that as a PDF and email it to yourself, making sure that you're touching on all of these skills. Attaching a document to an email. Can you create, use presentation software to create a slide deck? How about your internet research skills? How are you able to easily find information, copy and paste things from one place to another? Those are all great skills to also work on while you're preparing for your proficiency tests.
Yeah, and the application process is not just the testing. There's the whole application portion. Do you have any recommendations on the rest of the application?
You bet I do. I certainly do. My biggest recommendation is to start early. The sooner you can start your application, the better. And also, in starting early, give yourself some time. So start your essays, write them in Microsoft Word, and then copy and paste them into your application after you're satisfied with them. But write them in Word, let them sit a little bit, go back and revise them, look at the essay prompt, make sure you've answered completely and thoroughly all aspects of that prompt. Check it if you have an opportunity to have someone else put eyes on it for you so they could read it over and give you a little bit of feedback, even if it's just kind of copy editing, so looking for any punctuation, spelling issues, missing words, things like that can be really helpful. It is really important that those essays reflect you, because you're the one who's going to be in the program. So you want to make sure the essays are really reflective of you as a writer and you with your experience that you've had so far. So another thing I would say is when you're looking for someone to write a letter of recommendation, that you choose that person carefully. Think about someone who knows you well, who can speak to your skill set and your experience that would help you be successful in the EHLS program. So I would say that you should talk with them before you ask them to write you a letter of recommendation or to be a referee for you. Send them the EHLS website, explain to them why you are a good candidate. Why are you interested in this program? Why do you think you'd be a good fit? Show them, tell them what you want them to say. I know you have worked with me, in this capacity, or I've worked, I've done this, this, and this under your direction or under your supervision, or if they were your academic advisor. Remind them of all the wonderful things that you've done with them as your supervisor that they could speak to, or if they're a colleague or something like that, you can give them some direction. If they disagree with you, they don't have to write that. But certainly helping them out with why you want to be in the program, what are the key aspects of the EHLS program that are really important to you, and what are your qualities and characteristics that they can speak to that would make you a really good candidate for the program. That's another piece I would recommend moving forward. Mm-hmm.
And I know Anna works really behind the scenes on the application. I wonder if you have anything to add on the application piece.
No, just really to echo, get started early, write out your responses on a separate, Word document, or even if you like to handwrite things, just write them out, maybe leave them, let your mind, kind of think of other things to add. And I really like what Kate said about making those essays tailored to you. Just because everyone comes into this program with a very different background, I think it's quite the best part about this program is that every scholar has a unique background and brings something very unique, which you should really reflect in your responses. So giving those responses the amount of time they deserve, And yeah, don't do it too quickly, and don't wait till the last minute, of course. Definitely think that through. And email me, ehls@iie.org. If you have any questions, technical issues or anything like that. Yeah, I think that Kate really summed everything up. But making sure you know where to talk to if you're having trouble uploading things or anything like that.
That's a great point.
And I see Patricia's comment in the question Q&A box about putting your thoughts together so you sound coherent. We all struggle with that for sure. And this is exactly why we're all encouraging you to write them out first, put them aside, read them. I'm not familiar with the Udly app. That's if that's a helpful something that's helpful to you. I think that's great. But certainly for anyone else who might be struggling with coherence, the best thing to do is to know that the first time you write it, well, this is what I tell myself when I have writing to do, because I tend to struggle with getting started. Or editing as I'm going. And the best thing that I can do is accept that my first attempt, my first draft is that it's a first draft and it's not going to be good. So I give myself permission to write it, even though I know it's not coming out the way I would want it to in the end. I need to be able to have free reign to get all of my ideas down and then craft them, edit them, move them around and massage them to get that coherence. Sometimes the difference between something that feels coherent and not is a word. Literally a transition word here or there can make all the difference. So the most important thing is get those ideas down. Accept that writing is a process for everyone. And the first time you write it, it's not probably going to sound exactly the way you want it to. So going back and rereading the next day, seeing if you can move things around so there's a better organizational flow, all of that will help.
Oh, I see a question about being a past applicant. That's a great question. Kate, do you have any thoughts? So if you're a past applicant, should you use the same info about your experience and the same answers in the essay questions?
I would say that it's nice that you have a first draft available to you to work from, right? Of course, you don't want to submit exactly the same essays that you submitted the previous time, because you want, we're working on having a better outcome this time than you did the last time. So I would say looking at your answer, there's a couple, people do this in different ways. Some people like to have their previous answers as a springboard. They've got almost like a working polished draft, and they can look at it critically, look at the question again, think back, have you gained some experience in this past year or two, or however long it's been since you applied, and editing those essays to reflect, can I make this clearer? Can I answer this question more thoroughly? Are there details I can add? Is there more experience I've picked up that I want to put in here? That's one way to do it. Some people really feel like it's too hard to restructure something they've already written for the same purpose, and they'll write a new one. So it really depends on how satisfied you were with your previous essays and how well you felt like you were able to answer the question and polish. Yes. Yeah, I think it's fine to use them as a starting point, but you really want to give them a real critical eye vis-a-vis the essay prompts. And thinking really about that clarity piece and detail that you can add. So
I wanted to add, so as far as your experience is concerned, Kate mentioned if you have something new to add, then of course you would put that in. But it sounds like, to me, it would be crazy to change. Your experience is your experience. But as far as those essays are concerned, if you didn't get in the first time, I definitely would look at what you wrote and perhaps, or maybe answer the questions without looking at the old one, and then pulling the old one out and maybe comparing, and then go from there. Someone asked this question last week. And they said, but I was on the wait list. Well, if you were on the wait list, then maybe I would give you a different answer. But if you didn't make it at all, I would maybe rewrite the essays and then compare them and then, go from there.
Yeah, that's a good point, Maria. I think also just about not being distracted by your previous answers. That's where sometimes the previous answers can be pushing you in a certain channel that you may not go in if you didn't read them again and just try to answer them fresh. And then comparing the two is a great idea. I also agree, Maria, I like your distinction. She asked about experience and then essay. Yes, your experience is your experience. It's probably not going to change very much. So, yeah.
Yes, and I wanted to add too, on our website, we have a whole section, how to apply. And if you navigate there, you can find our selection criteria. And they're a really good document to have on hand as you write your essay questions, because those will be the criteria that will be used by our panel reviewers while they review your essay. So you can really think about those criteria when you're writing your essay responses.
So, Patricia, I wanted to address the edit versus typos and minor issues. I think it's okay to have someone look and make suggestions, but I wouldn't let them make changes. So even if you have like a Word version, they could use the comment feature to highlight sections and make a suggestion in the comments, and then you go make the changes. I wouldn't let them be crossing things out, rewriting things, or anything like that. But maybe they might say, did you mean this? Because this isn't completely clear to me. And then you would work on rewording that yourself. So there is a fine line, right, between editing and someone else doing your work for you. So I think it's great to get feedback. I wouldn't let someone have a hand in actually changing your essay.
Or writing your essay.
Yeah, certainly not writing your essay. Yeah, you want to be the one doing that because you're the one who's going to get into the program, right? Yeah, really. Any questions at all that you have about the program, about applying, about any? This is a great space to ask those questions and get them answered. That's another piece that I think is really nice about the EHLS program is we really, really want you to have the support you need to be successful. And that carries through till you get accepted and you're a scholar. But while you're here in this application process, we want to make sure that the process is as transparent to you and is functioning, the way it should. So if you have any technical issues, don't struggle in silence. Please reach out to somebody. We are happy to help you. So I know Anna is really a whiz with the application and any of those technical issues. It looks like she's actually helped some folks already who are on this call. You have any questions about what happens in the program, or even, about if you we're looking at relocating to DC or the instructional piece. Maria is an absolute expert on all of that. Even yes, you are. Pieces about, finding jobs afterwards, what that process looks like for your job search. We'll also, and I know Matilda will talk about this, we also have webinars scheduled around looking really at that piece where we'll have representatives from Delencio, who is the funder of this project. You'll hear, as Maria said, NSEP, the National Security Education Program, and Delencio, who's the parent of NSEP. NSEP is a piece underneath that. We kind of use them interchangeably, so you'll hear both, but we will have representatives on a call coming up next week to talk about more, even more in depth about the service requirement and what all that looks like. So please, come to as many webinars as you can. We have a lot of in-person events, so please check our website, keep up with us on social media. Make sure you're getting all your questions answered. We don't want anyone having any hesitation or lack of clarity on what the program's about. or how to apply or what you can expect. Like, we really want you to have, full information and a chance to have all of your questions answered as you're going through the application process, or even just trying to decide whether you feel like the EHLS program is right for you. This is the time and the venue to get those questions answered. So please ask away.
Also, this is a good time for you to make sure you have your paperwork together. Your transcript, your official transcript. If your highest degree is not in the United States, okay, it needs to be, if it's not in English, okay, it needs to be translated, and then you need to have it certified, or what is the word I'm looking for?
Evaluated.
Thank you, evaluated, and we have a list of the evaluation companies that you can use. So, and that takes a really long time. So if you're in that situation, you should be doing that right now.
Yeah, and we were giving tips about reference letters, and I know a common question is if you're applying again, do I have to ask my references again? And the answer is yes. And also I wanted to add that we ask for one reference, but we recommend two. So I think he was giving a lot of tips on who to reach out to, who good references are. So having the possibility of two references, you can really think about different perspectives that some of your contacts may have on who you are, and that can show a nice kind of portrait of who you are as an applicant for our reviewers.
And if you're just getting started with that, we've had this question before. Can I use a reference letter that someone has written before for me? Well, no, because if you've gone into our system and opened up our application, you should realize that you give us the name, the email of the person that you want to write the letter. We send them a form, and then they send it back to us. You never see it. So if you're thinking of using a past recommendation letter, that will not work. Just so you know that you're prepared.
So we have upcoming virtual events, including the three big webinars where we really cover different complementary aspects of the program. And knowing more about the program will make you a better applicant. So the more you know is by attending all these very complementary webinars that cover a lot of details about the application, and then a lot of details about what to expect during and after EHLS. So the service requirement and all the career help.
I have a question about the application. I'm interested on the program. I just have a question. If I submit my application this year and for any reason I'm not able to and get accepted too, lucky, and then I am not able to attend, can I move my application for next year, the 2025, or I need to submit new application?
You will need to submit a new application, unfortunately. So let me make sure I'm really clear here. If you are offered an award and you decline the award, you are eligible to apply again. You are not guaranteed to get an award again, but you are welcome to apply again. If you are offered an award and you accept the award, and then you need to drop out or decline the award after you have already accepted, then you're no longer eligible to apply to the program again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
That's actually a really good question, and thank you, Kate, for clarifying that. So, I mean, it's very important to know if you accept and then later decide you can't do it, then you're done.
And to just echo that for Patricia's question, deferment is not has not been our practice, because it is a highly selective program. There's 18 scholar spots available. So you really do need to think about it. If you are accepted, really, we give you you don't need to let us know right that day, because we understand, people are all over the country, and that's what we like. We like people to come in from all over the place. So we understand that there are some very serious considerations you need to take into account. But I don't believe we've had a deferment in recent history. So you do need to really think about it once you get that great phone call from Kate saying you're in. Definitely keep thinking about it. And to go off of what Maria has said in previous webinars, it's like having a full-time job. So if you are the main breadwinner, you are the main bringer of income, you will need to think about other options for that, for childcare, for grocery shopping, things like that. So it's not just the 9 to 5 at GW or GU, excuse me, not GW. Oh no, wrong university. It is homework. It's looking for positions. It's, it is an all-consuming intensive program, but what you're going to get out of it is incredible. So just making sure you're taking that time to think if you are selected for the program.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just take a chance to also announce in these Q&A sessions, and you can see the dates here. We have special guests joining us next Wednesday, April 26th. We'll have an instructor of the program joining us and an alumni of the program. So, we're really happy you're joining this Q&A, and I think it's very likely that you'll have more questions and will want to join some more sessions. And I think these, new special guests that can provide just so much more information for you could be a great opportunity. So really encourage you joining us next time as well. And like this webinar, we'll have recordings if you can't attend. And please follow us on social media. That's also where we announce these things, and extra tips and any kind of announcement and update are going to be on our social media and newsletters. So you can find our newsletter on our website, and I really recommend using those platforms to also tell your network about this opportunity if you know anyone else who would be interested. And last but not least, contact us for EHLS curriculum, schedule, and Georgetown facilities question. You can contact Maria Mariani. And for OPI scheduling and language testing, you can contact me at Cal. And for any questions on the online application system, you can contact Anna Gay. And so here are our addresses where you can contact us directly with these specific questions. Don't worry if you're not sure you're asking the right questions, the right address. We're all happy to help with any questions.
And we'll direct you to the right person if we don't know the answer.
Yep.
And, many times, you get off these webinars and calls and you say, oh, I forgot to ask that question. Just email us. We'll answer it for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're happy to help and support you. And you can find those email addresses in the email invitation I sent you, or reminder that this event was coming. So you can contact us through there as well. And we're getting close to our time. So thank you so much. And thank you, Kate, for joining us. And all of you for your great questions. We have a few more minutes if you have any final thoughts to share, final tips, and any questions, anything you would like to ask.
Well, I just wish the applicants the best of luck. Take advantage of all the resources that are available to you as you're going through the application process. And we're really happy that you were able to join us today.
And we look forward to your application.
Thank you.